Hi. So today we're going to be talking about queer culture. But before we do, this video is sponsored by my newly designed bisexual t-shirts, which I will be showing you at the end of this video. But until then, let's talk about queer culture. So I'm going to start off with a story. So last year, December, I was invited to a bisexual party at a place called Hamburger Mary's in West Hollywood. I went there. There were a group of like 20 of us there. It was a great time. It was a wonderful meeting, just chatting with my fellow bis for a while. And then as the brunch ended, someone came up in front of the restaurant and said, well, the girl is going to be coming out in a while. The show is about to begin. And I went, show? I turned to the person next to me and said, what show? And they said, oh, they do a drag show here. And I went, I looked around and everyone else at the table seemed to really be excited about the show. And then I knew that I was going to have to do one of two things. Either try and figure out how to politely excuse myself really quickly, or slap a smile on my face and pretend like I knew what the hell was going on. And I think that kind of represents the kind of Cold War, the Civil War going on within the bisexual spectrum right now, where on one side of the spectrum, there are queer bisexuals, and on the other side of the spectrum, there are mostly straight bisexuals. And the truth is, unfortunately, that many people who are queer reject the idea that anyone who's bisexual could use the word straight in their identity, and then reject mostly straight bisexuals, whereas there are a lot of mostly straight bisexuals who have a tremendous amount of resentment against queer bisexuals. Why? Because mostly straight bisexuals, who are in the vast majority, feel like queer bisexuals are painting bisexuality with queerness, and hence making it uncomfortable for them to exist within the label. And because of that, I thought, you know what? Maybe I should do a video explaining queer culture to non-queer bisexuals to kind of thaw out this Cold War. So first, I'd like to kind of describe my impression of what queer is. And I think, and this is really hard to kind of find a hard definition anywhere, because there is really no hard definition anywhere. There's no checklist that you can check off and go, oh, I guess I'm queer then. But here's what I have discovered after a lot of thought and exploration. You are most likely to identify as queer as a result of the answer to one question. And that question is, do you feel comfortable in your culture's gender norms? Okay, so there's a couple of things there that I should probably explain. First, gender norms are the things that your particular culture feels are associated with each of the particular sexes. So in America, to be masculine is to be kind of maybe strong and silent, to have short hair, to be aggressive is to be like forthcoming, stuff like that, kind of gung-ho sort of thing. Whereas female, it's more like it's to be passive and to kind of apologize for everything, to have long hair, and various other things. So those would be what gender norms are. And the reason why I said is your culture's gender norms is because in America, the standards for masculinity and femininity are different than the same ones in France, and the same ones in Italy, and the same ones in Japan, and so on. So if you are likely to say, no, I do not feel comfortable in my culture's gender norms, then you are highly likely to identify as queer. But that's not the only reason why you might identify as queer. You might also identify as queer if the people you like, care about, admire, or want to date don't feel comfortable in your culture's gender norms. So, for example, gay culture and lesbian culture, the culture itself is defined around rejecting gender norms. So if you like really admire gay people, or if you want to date gay people, you will most likely feel kind of not comfortable in the gender norms, not necessarily because of yourself, but because of the people that you associate with in your circle of friends. So in that case, you will say, I don't feel comfortable with gender norms, not necessarily for me, but because of other people, and I reject that. And if you do that, you are highly likely to identify as queer. Now, if you say that I am comfortable in my culture's gender norms, you are highly unlikely to identify as queer, even if you were to say, yes, I feel comfortable with gender norms, but I wish these few things were different. The fact that you go in there saying yes means that most likely you will not identify as queer. So what does that mean? That means that things that reject the gender norm are things that queer people are going to be drawn to. Why? Most likely because all through high school, you had to pretend like you fit in, that you kind of apply to the standard, whereas maybe you could have forced yourself in there and like really suppressed another part of yourself, or you just like didn't try and then got a lot of flack for it. So of course, once you get older and you lock onto the identity as queer, that means that anything that kind of rejects your oppressor, being like straight culture, you are going to be drawn to. So what is the biggest representation of queer? Well, it's pride parades. And pride parades are different from like Thanksgiving Day parades because of the flamboyancy involved with pride parades. And at every pride parade, there's always a bunch of guys who are like dressed in bikinis and nothing else, or guys dressed in high heels or with a lot of makeup. This is their opportunity to throw off the shackles of gender normativity and be who they are. So that is why the Pride Parade is exactly the way it is. And that's what makes it the Pride Parade. So yeah, Pride Parades are pretty queer, and they are wonderfully queer, and they're supposed to be queer. But if you're not a queer person, that might also be the thing that repels you from Pride Parades, the fact that you feel very comfortable within the gender norms, and you don't want people to think that you don't feel comfortable in gender norms, so you don't want to put yourself in a situation where people are rejecting the gender norms. So that's one. The other one, of course, the other thing that's most associated with queerness, drag shows. And drag shows are the epitome of poking your fingers in the eye of gender normativity. Because, for the most part, it is men dressing up as women. So there is no clearer representation of a rejection of gender norms than drag shows. So that is why queer bisexuals who, again, probably felt uncomfortable within the gender norms are drawn to drag shows, because they are the absolute opposite of having to conform to gender norms. So these are the things, and these are the reasons why queer bisexuals, or queer culture, is what it is. It is a rejection of gender norms. And I'm sure if you are not a queer bisexual, you could understand this. If you had to spend your entire life, and you kind of did to a certain degree, having to pretend to be someone else, but not even in the case where you could like pretend and then fit in, but where you like had to pretend and you didn't even do a good job of it. So everyone knew this was a lie, and you like it, all the confusion involved with trying to pretend and absolutely not being able to, and then people mistaking you for gay because of it and all these things. Imagine how tough that would be for a person. That is why queer bisexuals are so vocal about the fact that they are here and they're queer and they exist. And they're the ones to speak up first. They're the ones to start all the groups. They're the ones to do all these things, because there was no place in society for them to fit in. So they had to create their own society to fit into. And because a lot of non-queer bisexuals aren't speaking up, now the rest of the world thinks of bisexuality as queer. Not their fault. They're doing a great job of making themselves seen. If anything, it's the mostly straight bisexuals' fault, who, for the most part, don't really feel like talking about their bisexuality. So that is what has to change. But I hope this helps you to understand exactly why queer culture is the way it is. It's not something to be ashamed of. If you are bisexual, then you are bisexual. If you are queer, then you are queer. You could be both at the same time, but you don't have to be both at the same time. And I hope that helps. Now, I am actually very proud to say that there are now 25 new bisexual designs. And this time on Amazon.com, you can pick up quite a few t-shirts, including Love is Love, or some of the classics, which is Straight Out of the Closet, or Bisexual AF, a couple of flags, a couple of pride symbols, a couple of hearts. There are a lot of them there, and if you'd like to support the channel, it is currently only $16.95. You can barely find shirts cheaper than that, and because it's on Amazon, shipping is free with Amazon Prime. So please check them out, support the channel. You can also check out my books. There's a link to them down below as well. And also you can like this video and subscribe. I do many videos on bisexual topic, but I don't do them on a regular basis, but I do them frequently. So if you want to know when a new video comes out, you have to click on the subscribe button and then click on the bell to let YouTube know that you like to know when a new video comes out. Until next video, stay cooler, my bisexual friend. Stay cooler. And check out some of the t-shirts. They're only going to be here for a short time, so check them out. Bye.